All right, on homework 5.2, there was a 2-column proof at the bottom. The information for this proof, it says the diagonals of a rhombus ABC form several triangles. Use a 2-column proof. Prove that triangle BFA, so this triangle over here, we are trying to prove that that is congruent to triangle DFC, so the one across from it. So we need to prove that this yellow triangle is congruent to the blue triangle. All right, so let's start with our given information. And they give us that ABCD is a rhombus. And that is just our given. Okay. So some things that we know about a rhombus. The first one, a rhombus has 4 congruent sides. So we know that in those 2 triangles that AB has to be congruent to CD because there are 2 sides from the rhombus. So for this one, we're going to use a rhombus implies all sides congruent, or something along that line, where we know because we have a rhombus, all the sides are going to be the same length. Okay. Another thing that we know is a rhombus is a type of parallelogram. And we know from those 5 properties that we went over on the first day that a parallelogram has diagonals that bisect each other. So we know that AF is going to be congruent to FC because we know it's a rhombus. That implies that the diagonals bisect. And there are 2 diagonals in here, so we also know that BF, and we can put this on the same line because we're using that same property, is going to be congruent to FD. So looking at that, we have all 3 sides of this, the 2 triangles congruent. So we have enough to say that triangle BFA is congruent to triangle DFC. And this one is using side, side, side of congruent triangles. Another way you could have done this is, or another step you could have used, is you could have used the vertical angle congruence theorem, and somewhere in here you could have said angle BFA is congruent to angle CFD. And the reason for that one would have been our vertical angle congruence theorem. And if you use that step, and depending on what sides you used, you would have a different reason for why the triangles are congruent. So this one does have multiple different ways. This is just one example of what you could put for your answer.